Hi, Divine Collective. My name's Kirk, and we're going to talk about the North Node and South Node for the collective. January 11th, it's already been happening, I believe, because the North and South Node are so close to the end of Aries that we've been feeling the Pisces and Virgo energy already. Um, it's going to get stronger as the date approaches. So, January 11th is when the South Node will be in Virgo and North Node in Pisces. So basically, South Node, as a collective, we've already been working on discernment, and for the past, I don't know, so many years of with all this internet and people having all these different things that they talk about online, which are very differing views, and it's we've had a long process of learning this. So when it moves into the South Node, that's the energy we're bringing is discernment. We've moved through the negative judgments of others and ourselves, and we're moving into a higher position of the South Node that we've integrated of being able to discern what's real for us or not, and not having to judge others for their difference of opinions. This is the higher form of the South Node that we're moving into in Virgo right now, and will be, like I said, at January 11th will be when it is in 0 degrees of Virgo and 0 degrees of Pisces. Now we are moving towards a different understanding of Pisces in the North Node. You'll have to look at your own chart to see how it might affect you individually. I'm speaking on the collective, and I'm not going to talk about the houses right now because you can look up in your part of the world where it might be in your country in that house. I'm going to just discuss the energies. So the North Node in Pisces for the collective will be about moving toward a more spiritual way of working using the South Node that we've learned with discernment, evaluating old in systems and structures, as well as, like I said, curtailing our judgment of others, allowing them to have their own opinions. Doesn't mean let people walk all over you or do horrible things to others because that's their belief that that's okay. It's still using that discernment of, is it just their opinion, or are they going to take action that's going to hurt my family, friends, or me, or themselves? So that's the discernment we've learned, and hopefully we're going to keep integrating it. But that's what we've been through, and integrating that as a whole, and moving towards a more spiritual way of working with global and local communities, even within our own families. So on every level. Then the North Node will also be conjunct Shiat in Pegasus. And for me, what I feel is there may be different depictions of Shiat and the beings there. I'm more about the stars themselves, but what I understand is the energy there and the beings that are drawn there are because some of them may be physical and some of them are in a higher dimension, which is all physicality if you're not source. There's always some degree, it's just at a higher frequency. But these are some of them are very high frequency beings, and they're masters of transmuting and manipulating energies. And when I say manipulating, just look up the definition. It doesn't mean to manipulate in a negative way. You can manipulate things in positive or negative, and there's just the connotation to the word. But if you can manipulate energies, it means you can work with them, use your alchemy to transmute and change the energies or to create. So if you don't like the word, I apologize. Just what I happen to use. So this energy will amplify those, excuse me. It also, so being that it's Shiat, which is also called Beta Pegasi, there are also souls that have gone there to incarnate just so they can learn how to work with this energy better. And it's not the only place where there are masters of grid work and energy. This just happens to be one that is going to be conjunct with the North Node. So uh, it's going to amplify those who are already working in healing modalities, grid work, and those that are transmuters of energy for the collective. For those who are not as aware, it's going to wake a lot of people up to the energies that they run through their body and make them more conscious, aware of it, and also probably be more in the mainstream. I'm not speaking that it's going to be on Fox News, CNN, whatever, all those you know, polarizing news channels that are mostly propaganda. It may show up there. What I'm saying is, in the mainstream, people are going to be much more aware. And I understand Reiki's been talked about a lot, but there are a lot of people who walk away from it and just think it's discounted. I think we're gonna see a lot more people with this energy moving in that direction, understanding that vibration, sound, and color healing, crystals, anything that's vibrational in nature and frequency will be a healing technique, and people will be accepting it as the mass collective will be much more accepting of it in the West. I understand in the East, they do understand a lot of that as it is. Um, it's important though, if you are a transmuter, because I had a rough time growing up with all these energies coming through. I did not realize that they were not mine, and I was just transmuting energies from around me and those parts of the world that I have lived. And what it is just energies that are old and moving through. Like there, I guess you could say that there are a lot of people here that are transmuters, whether it's on a local level, but I'm mostly speaking those who are doing it on a collective level because that's the consciousness of Pisces, is the collective going to the house of undoing, the 12th house. And I'm not saying the North Node would be in the 12th house for anyone or the collective. I'm saying that is the energy of Pisces. And undoing is not a bad thing. For me, it just means that you've learned everything going through the wheel and you've integrated it. Like if I were to start out to be a healer and I learn my techniques and I study all these different techniques, doesn't mean I cannot learn more to add to my repertoire. But when I've gotten to a level of feeling like I've mastered one, which obviously we never master anything completely, but get to a certain level where I can just integrate and be an effective practitioner. We will always continue to grow and evolve. This is what I feel the energy is at for the collective coming. It's been happening and we're moving into it more and more. Is this whole idea of the collective saying, wow, we need to be more spiritual. We need to look at the way structures are. We need to include other people, which is the way it was set up in the first place until they got corrupt and decided to take all our money and spend it all so they didn't have to give it back to us. Because taxes, if they're not spent, I hate to tell you, they will find ways to keep it because people were never meant to go into office with little money and come out as multimillionaires with 3 mansions and 10 cars. So that needs to all change. And we're moving to a more spiritual place. Doesn't mean everybody's instantly going to have a ton of money or everything's going to shut down and the rich are going to give all their money to make everything equal. It's not, I'm not even looking into that. I'm just telling you in my feeling, it's not going to happen like that overnight. It will become more of a slow process of us becoming more involved with the collective, people becoming less upset no matter where they live, whether it's in the projects or not. They'll come and make their community better, and we will move out to a place where people are not confined into such small apartment boxes, and we will share more space lovingly with others. But that'll be a process. Um, that is what we're moving to. It may happen faster than I'm seeing it right now because it all depends on what we create as a collective. And the faster we move to that thinking process and creation, the more quickly it will happen. And bringing that, um, so I have to read my notes here real quick. So basically, if you're feeling overwhelmed, get grounded or get out in nature or pet a pet, do meditation, yoga. I find for me though, the best thing is I've been hit not so often because I know sometimes I'm just running the energy and I don't have to pay attention, but there's been a couple of times where it just overwhelmed me and I felt like I was getting dizzy. I had to go outside and sit on the ground and just breathe and not concentrate on transmuting, just let it happen. Just connect with Gaia and let it happen. If you're not somewhere you can sit on the ground, just pause, meditate or something, and just allow. The problem is if you overanalyze and try to figure out what's going on, then it could become uncomfortable. You're going to do okay anyway. I'm just saying it's just easier if you just let it flow through you and let it be transmuted. It's like human composters. We are taking energies that don't need to be there anymore and they are recycling through our body and going and healing through Gaia and making it into growth It's manure for the growth of the new energies coming in. So we got to take the old that's not so positive and allow it to become the crap that feeds the beautiful flower that's coming out. Like the lotus, it's in some of the ugliest marshes and swamps, but it's such a beautiful flower. So those transmuters are bringing that through, making it compost so that the seeds of the beautiful, beautiful, oh wow, did I just say it like that? Anyway, we gotta laugh at ourselves sometimes. Beautiful new energies coming through. I'm oops, just going to change my background because this is Orion Nebula. Very angelic energies. I hate to say angelic because that's just another energy. It's not a biblical thing. Everything is just energy, so there's not really a hierarchy. I just want to show Uranus here because Uranus is kind of an egg-shaped planet. It is at the end of the river, and this is Achernar, excuse me. And it is going to, Saturn right now is still in Pisces. It's been hovering back and forth in my north node, natal north node. So it's going retrograde. It was in conjunction with Achernar moving forward. I don't remember when that was. I didn't look that back that far, but I know it retrograded back through um, the north, my north node, and in that degree of conjunction with Achernar for the collective back September through October. And if you see any R's in your chart, when you pull your chart, it means retrograde, which means the planet looks like it's going backwards. It's not. It's just the way everything is moving. It feels like it's to the earth. It feels like it's going backwards. That's why it affects us in that way, though. So when I think retrograde, I think reflection. So retrograde is not a bad thing. Even when Mercury's in retrograde, everybody says, oh, computers go crazy and people can't talk and they mess up the communication. I mean, that's possible, but I don't like to look at the negative. It is possible, but I don't like people get into the fear of it. So think of it as a reflective period. Instead of speaking out quickly when Mercury's like that or any planet, take the energy of that planet. So Saturn is structures. So we're reflecting on all the structures before and since Aradness, Arcanar in Aradness is the end of the river, the end of the hero's journey, this is for the collective as well. It already moved through forward once, and then it was showing that we were at the end of one era, and now it's moving back. And it's not conjunct with Achernar right now, but we have gone through it in the retrograde. So we're in a period of reflection before it goes back into forward motion through Achernar. Like I said, the forward motion and backward motion is just an illusion from Earth. So they are going in the same orbit, but the way we move and they move, that's the way it feels. But it does make us in a reflective mode. So any planets that you have in retrograde in your chart are going to be things that you're here to reflect on more than to take action on. And there's always the balance of reflection and action. I'm just saying, if you have a lot of retrogrades in your chart, this is probably an incarnation where you are meant to reflect a lot and not to just speak out or act out until you've processed that reflection. And that's how it works in the transits as well. So it's a good thing. We've evaluated the structures of our new era and we've reflected on it, and now it's going to move forward again into Achernar in Pisces. So this is a very spiritual way now that we've reflected on our structures and society, and that's including family structures. Saturn is like all structures and boundaries. We've had to reflect, but we reflected not just in a physical me way. We're reflecting more of an open, we are all source, everything is source. How do we want to create this now? This is what that reflection and what the forward movement of Saturn through Achernar is. It's exciting stuff. I love Achernar and Eradness because the hero's journey is what our soul came here to do. That's why Eradness is so large in the sky, and that's why I mean, I know people say that it was a control of the Greeks and the Romans and blah, blah, blah. But the reason of Ophiuchus, which they call the 13th sign for my belief, is it was left out because it is the integration after you get through the wheel. even though it's between Sagittarius and Scorpio, it's so small, it's not worth changing all of our charts. They did it for a reason, not just to control and manipulate, like everybody's so paranoid, everything is a control thing. There are things that people saw that made more sense. The 13th sign is after we go through the hero's journey. Ophiuchus has one foot in each world, so it is bringing the integration of the two. And that is after we do the body process from the first to the 12th house, Aries to Pisces. So I don't believe it was left out because it was malevolent or something like that. It's you can feel how you want on it. I think it's important to understand the energies in your chart and if it does match up with certain things, but to make it a sign again, that's something for the scholars to worry about. I don't think it's necessary because to me it is the integration of all the signs. And that's why it's so small. It is very important, but it's so small because it's not meant to be a part of the actual wheel of our growth. It's the in between. So it's going to be a great future for us all. Um, and I believe that you're going to see more of this discussion in the mainstream about color, sound, toning, crystals. I mean, we see it, yes, on YouTube and in our community, but a lot of people poo-poo it out there in the not real world, but in the world that is not involved with, we won't say spiritual. What I'm going to say is, 'cause everything is spirit. I'm going to say the inner growth world because there are people that are spiritually going on with their day, not focused on their inner development or their inner reflection. And that's okay. But they are still part of spirit. Everything is. Um, and one more thing is I think I might have covered it all. Oh, quick little analogy from Buddhism, or it's a parable. That there are little crabs at the bottom of the river, and there's a little crab that gets just doesn't understand why it's getting tired and says, "Why are we fighting this constantly? What are we fighting for?" And I'm just going to put up the Sphinx here. I like that picture better. Okay. Um, the Sphinx is knowledge, ancient knowledge, connected to the Akashic records. So I believe trying to remember what energy is transiting. Oh, Achernar is also about that. When you get to the end of the hero's journey, you start to remember where you came from, who you were. So there are going to be a lot of ancient memories coming back. I mean, it doesn't mean that they haven't for you already. Different things are activating in people's charts all the time. But I'm saying for the collective, there's going to be even more information about Atlantis, about Lemuria. Um, And please understand, I'm not talking about those of us that are focused on it all the time, watching videos and looking for it. It doesn't show up on algorithms for a lot of people. What I am saying is that the mainstream will be discussing more of it more openly soon. It's exciting times, so our memory is going to be coming back. Many people are going to be becoming more empowered in their search for themselves because we are going to be working with the collective, but like I always like to think of it, we didn't come here to just meld into everybody else and become a hive mind. We were meant to be an orchestra. Those that are leaders will be the conductors. The others will find their to be the best violinist, the best cello player, the best wind, string, the best trumpet player to add their voice to the collective orchestra to make a beautiful symphony. And for those reluctant leaders, we are moving into Pisces, so you don't have to worry so much about feeling like you don't want to take the lead. The conductor has its back facing the crowd. She or he is part of the orchestra. However, they see all the parts playing and they know how to help them work together well to create a beautiful symphony. So you are working with the orchestra, but you're not taking all the credit. You're not facing the crowd and like a Leo and bringing it all out there. Now you can. I'm speaking to those who have um, this part of their personality, which probably shows in your chart. that you are meant to be a leader, but you don't like to have the spotlight or don't feel like you are worthy of taking the reins, you are. This is all about empowerment. So if you watch any videos that tell you you're not powerful because you're not this sign or that sign, stop watching it. If you have anything that tells you, watch out what timeline you're going to be on, if you don't do this or that, you're not going to be on the right timeline. I hate to tell you, your soul made that choice. You have free will as far as turning left or right and things like that. But in the end, your destination is going to be what your soul chose. It's you have guides, you have whatever you want to call it, angels, whatever, born, and your higher self. And if you listen to channelers that are channeling outside themselves, telling you stuff and it sounds scary or negative, turn them off. We're not into the fear porn anymore. If you want drama, go to Netflix and watch something that you know is not real so you don't have to get too involved and you can just watch it play out without feeling. Eventually, we're all going to feel like, wow, this is a show. I did come here to experience this, but a lot of it is just a show. Just knowing all this stuff for years and now seeing it play out even in the mainstream news, which is mostly propaganda to get us divided. It's seeing how they're slowly bringing it around after they stirred up division while everything was in North Node was in Aries. It was all about standing up for oneself and fighting for whatever you believe in. And that was, they obviously used that energy to stir people against each other. But now moving into Pisces, we're seeing that we are all connected. And one thing I do want to point out, we need, it is helpful and beneficial for us as a soul evolving to look at the collective and every individual we come across as part of ourself, as source, part of source. Well, but we are meant to be the best individual we can be. And if that person does not resonate because they're at a different frequency and they're doing negative things that we think are not positive to our growth, you don't have to like them. And the love I'm talking about is not a lovey-dovey kumbaya, because we do need to be able to pull the shadow side out when we need to stand up for ourselves or walk away. What I'm talking about is an objective love that Source has for us. Source has a love for all of us because it created all of us to be individuals and be different, and that's why we're meant to be here. There are other beings that have more of a hive mind or more of a collective mind. So when this is the human experiment, why all these different races are represented through our genetics, because it was to see if all these different collective races in this universe or this local galaxy and the ones that have come here, not talking about other parts of this universe, this local area, and there are many here from different universes and different parts of this universe to experience this. However, it's about seeing how Source can develop with such high differences, so many differences of opinions, of lifestyle, of cultures, and meld them together and still have separate cultures, but to learn to how to get along together. I'm not sure how to explain this, but when you look at other energies of certain races, they have a very definitive energy throughout all the beings in that, or many of them. I believe the beings here are so much more individual and so much more free will and have all these different traits from the different races, the different incarnations we've all had before we came here. This is the melting pot. Of course, the galaxy and the universe, there are melting pots everywhere, but this one is such intense, uh, dense vibrations that learning to evolve and work together is like a huge thing. And that's why there's so much attention here for Gaia and Earth, and why there's so many negative and positive beings. And I don't mean that to say like, oh, bad or good. Negative energy and positive need each other. I'm just saying it's so much more defined here. And we won't get into that because that's a totally different discussion. So, anyway, this little crab holding onto the rocks and gets tired of holding on, says, I want to let go. Why does nobody let go? It's like I'm exhausted. And they tell him, no, you're going to die. You're going to hit the rocks, you're going to die. A little while later, says, you know what? I don't care what you guys say. And he just lets go. He gets banged on the rocks a few times, gets a little bit bruised. And, sorry, I've got a meeting coming up with someone in a few minutes. So I'm going to have to tidy this up. This little guy just keeps hitting the rocks, but he only gets bruised and it hurts, and he gets over it and eventually finds the flow of the current. And then he feels like he's flying. He just flows with the current and no more bumping against the rocks. It was crappy for a little while, but then he learned to just let go and go with it and trust. Like a bird that jumps out of a nest and then has to find its way through the wind currents. It's the same thing. You have to take that dive into the unknown and just trust that you'll be held, even if you hit a couple times or get banged up along the way. Um, I think that's a beautiful Buddhist teaching. Stop fighting and holding on, and there's no need for fear. Once the fear subsided, he learned to flow with the current. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we are all attempting to do here. Well, not attempting, we're working on it, progressively evolving into that. And some of us may have been coming from higher dimensions just to come down here, but that's we are meant to be here, not to go floating away into seeking outside. And uh, that's why channel yourself. We are all things, so go inside and channel yourself. You don't have to channel and be competitive of, oh, I'm channeling this being, oh, I'm channeling this collective, I'm channeling a higher dimensional than you, I'm channeling the creator, I'm channeling source. It's not about a competition. It's about channeling your vibration and the beauty of who you are as an authentic being, because we all have something to offer to the orchestra. So if you're watching me right now, I'm going to tell you none of you are unimportant. You are all drops that create the ripple in the lake, and that goes across the universe. Everything you do is important. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It just means be who you are. And if you're working on yourself, great. You're reflecting on things you've done and doing your best to be better, great. If you're not, great. Doesn't mean I want to be around you. I'll be honest. It just means we go to what we resonate with. So I'm not telling anyone to hate channelers or anything like that. I'm just saying I wish people would just start to say, this is me, instead of having to be some powerful being from another planet or another dimension. Just be you. If you say something that resonates, I am going to listen and I'm going to feel it. Yeshua did not go around saying he's channeling all these beings to sound important or for whatever reason. He channeled from his knowing. You may hear it from other things. You may tune into yourself and go deep within and feel the energetic. It doesn't mean we don't have guides from other places. I know my guides are from many different planets. I connect with them, but I don't always connect energetically with anything but nature and stars and planets and celestial bodies. I'm not as in tune with the galactic beings. I have to ask others about certain races and things like that because that's not my forte, excuse me. I work more with the energies of grid lines, planets, nebula, celestial, and it makes me no better or less. It's just what I'm used to, and that's what I came here to do. I'm perfectly appreciative that there are people that work more with the galactic beings and things like that because that's not my forte. This is part of the orchestra I'm talking about. That's why nobody, no matter how much higher vibration you're vibrating at or how much denser, the truth is, for one dimension and 12 dimension, whatever, how many dimensions there, the closest ones are at the end and at the beginning. So you want to squish an amoeba or an ant and think that they're nothing. It's not true. They're just as connected to source, probably more than us with the monkey brains that think too much. We are all beautiful beings, no matter what level we're at and no matter what vibration we're vibrating at. It's just what do you choose to bring into your life? And once you get to who you truly are, abundance will flow for you. And it doesn't mean abundance of money and all that. It could just be abundance of people that support or are guiding and working with you. I don't believe anyone guides anybody without being guided. We all are here collaboratively. We just choose who we want to collaborate with, and hopefully your discernment is enough. But even if it's not, that's where you're supposed to be. If you watch a lot of videos that are fear porn and you get terrified, then that's probably where you need to be. If you're listening to me and I'm telling you not to get into the fear porn, and if you want to enjoy it, just know it's entertainment value. Don't believe it. So love you all. and looking forward to these change. I mean, some of us are feeling them right now. I'm just looking forward to seeing the collective more and more becoming aware of the truth. And even those who can't discern will start having it kind of put at them and they will see what's been going on. So, blessings to all. And if you want, you can work with Achernar, work with the energies of Pisces in your north and south node, see how they work in your chart and what houses they're in right now. I'm not going to do those kind of readings because I was trying to make this short and it's already gone a little long. But love y'all. Have fun and blessings. Enjoy the rest of your holidays and happy evolving to you.